Good morning, fellow ruminators. Well, not ruminators. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. This is another podcast on the Andrew Tucker's TV. Now, I do have another channel called Ruminators with Andrew. So if you want to go over there and subscribe, I'll be so greatly, it'll be greatly appreciated. Now, the thing about it is that this morning I would like to talk briefly about the Washington Post's decision not to endorse any political candidate. And I would like to pose the critical question, is this the end of the free press in America? Now, I am not endorsing any newspaper in the United States or any newspaper in mainstream media in general. In fact, I'm neither coming from the right, neither am I coming from the political left. I stand as a neutral, objective analyzer of what is happening in the world, specifically in the United States of America. Now, recently, Jeff Bezos, who is the owner of the Washington Post, has decided that he would not be endorsing any political candidate, even though people were expecting that he would be endorsing Kamala Harris since the Washington Post for many years. I would think now for over 16 or more years have been certainly over 16 years, because I remember in 2008 when Barack Obama was running for the presidency, that it was very clear, it was patently clear then that the Washington Post was pro-Obama, was a pro-democratic party, while the Washington Times was pro the Republicans. And that was so clear to me because I used to be a lecturer at Howard University. And when I was passing through the metro station there at what they call that metro station again, I forgot the metro station where at Howard University there. I think it was called the Howard University. Yeah, it was called the Howard University stop. And I would religiously take carry with me to the university both papers, as they were handing them out for free of cost then, right? Because it was election time and they wanted, of course, to propagandize who they thought was the best candidate for the elections. That's the 2008 elections. That would have been then 2008 elections. Now, I would read religiously these two papers when I went on campus after teaching, and doing my academic responsibilities. Now, I noted very clearly that at the time that the Washington Post was, dispensing, as it were, democratic propaganda. And while the Washington Times would diffuse right-wing Republican propaganda. And I thought that was so interesting because I'd always thought that the United States papers, for some reason, had some amount of objectivity in their reporting. But then I realized that that was not true. And onwards to then, because I was a young man still, I was in my late 20s at the time. And yeah, and I was saying to myself, but this is interesting that the Washington Post is a pro-democratic voice, while the Washington Times was. And then I started reading the New York Times, the same thing, the Washington Post would align with the views of the New York Times and stuff like that. And I was wondering, wow, I never knew this. And then the same thing with the LA Times. And then since I realized that the United States media is really propagandist. Before, I used to know that because I actually read about the history of journalism and the history of the press in the United States, but I did not know the extent to which they were so much organs of the state until 2008, during the Barack Obama presidency. Barack Obama was like a god to the Washington Post and the New York Times. He did not have any flaws at all. He was a flawless human being as far as they were concerned. And they would go at length to protect him, even when there were legitimate concerns about Barack Obama's candidacy. But the Washington Post and the New York Times were very, very strident in terms of giving you what the people on the left-wing corner of the room, in the left-wing corner of the room, wanted to hear. And that they did, and they did it very well. Now, we're coming here that the more than 200,000 people have canceled subscriptions to the Washington Post since the newspaper announced the decision last week not to endorse a candidate for president. A published report said yesterday. That's a lot. 200,000 people have canceled subscriptions. That's a lot. And I think they had about over 2 million subscribers. So we have NPR reported the figure, citing two people at the paper with knowledge of internal matters. The reported loss of subscriptions of that magnitude would be a blow to a news outlet that is already facing financial headwinds. The Post had more than 2.5 million subscribers last year, the bulk of them digital, making it third behind the New York Times and Wall Street Journal in circulation. So they were pretty good, but 2.5 million people for a paper that you would think is world renowned and people around the world, read from the paper, read that paper, I should say, you would have thought one would have thought that they would have had more subscribers, at least 10 million subscribers, right? Some podcasters have 2.5 million subscribers and over 3 million subscribers. Some podcasters have, I'm sure, 10 million subscribers or more. And the Washington Post, which is an international newspaper, as it were, North American newspaper, but is renowned internationally on the global scale, only has 2.5 million subscribers. Think about the United States having a population of over 350 million people, I would think, by now, right? Nobody knows, especially the large flow of immigrants into the country. But we could say that, let us say, over 330 million people then. And only 2.5 of those 330 million people in the United States, well, I wouldn't say in the United States only, but yeah, but we're talking about the United States. You'd have thought that the Washington Post would have at least 10 million subscribers. It shows to you that the quality of the paper has declined, right? The quality of the Washington Post has declined. A postman or a Post spokeswoman, Olivia Peterson, would not comment on the report when contacted by the Associated Press. The Post editorial staff had reportedly prepared an endorsement of Democrat Kamala Harris before announcing instead on Friday that it would leave it up for readers to make up their own minds. So before, they were not leaving it up to the readers to make up their own minds. When Barack Obama was running for the presidency, they did not leave it up to readers to think with their own minds. When, again, Hillary Clinton was running for the presidency, the Washington Post did not leave it up to readers to think with their own minds. When Biden was running for the presidency, the Washington Post did not leave it up to readers to think with their own minds. Now, that is interesting. But now that we have Kamala Harris running, they're suggesting that people should think. They've just now come to this very important decision or crossroads where they think that people should be thinking with their own minds. So what were the people thinking before with? What were they using? What did they use to have elected Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton and the same Joseph Biden? Forgot his R, what R stands for. I know it's Joseph R. Biden, right? I forgot the R in his middle name. What did they use? What did they use to have elected these former presidents? Right? Well, Biden is still in the position. But what did they use? Weren't they using their minds? Weren't they thinking independently of what the papers were saying, what the Washington Post and the New York Times and the LA Times were saying? Or were they brainwashed? These are some of the critical questions that need to be asked. And I'm sure that, people won't be asking them. But let us look a little bit briefly at what basis is here saying. Well, the editorial coming from the Washington Post was saying when they were, when they made the proposition or decision not to endorse any candidate. Let me see if I can share my screen with you so you can see from whence I'm reading. So let me get my screen to be shared with you. So let me get there. Sorry. So we have here the Washington Post, and this, as our editorial board wrote in 1960. The Washington Post has not endorsed either candidate in the presidential campaign. That is in our tradition and accords with our action in 5 of the last 6 elections. The unusual circumstances of the 1952 election led us to make an exception when we endorsed General Eisenhower prior to the nominating conventions and reiterated our endorsement during the campaign. In the light of hindsight, we retain the view that the arguments for his nomination and election were compelling. But hindsight also has convinced us that it might have been wiser for an independent newspaper in the nation's capital to have avoided formal endorsement. That's interesting in hindsight. The editorial board made two other points ahead of an election that John F. Kennedy won that will resonate with readers today. The election of 1960 is certainly as important as any held in this century. This newspaper is in no sense, rather, non-committal about the challenges that face the country. As our readers will be aware, we have attempted to make clear in editorials our conviction that most of the time, one of the two candidates has shown a deeper understanding of the issues and a larger capacity for leadership, right? However, I concluded, we nevertheless adhere to our tradition of non-endorsement in this presidential election. We have said and will continue to say as reasonably and candidly as we know how that we believe about the emerging issues of the campaign. We have sought to arrive at our opinions as fairly as possible with the guidance of our own principles of independence, but free of commitment to any party or candidate. So that is what they're saying now. So they're allowing readers perhaps for a long time to either think for themselves. So most Americans actually were not thinking for themselves before when they elected Barack Obama, when they elected Trump in 2016, or, well, they were not endorsing Trump by any sort of imagination because they're anti-Trump, right? This is an anti-Trump newspaper. Our job at the Washington Post is to provide, through the newsroom, non-partisan news for all Americans and thought-provoking reported views from our opinion team to help our readers make up their minds. Most of all, our job as the newspaper of the capital city of the most important country in the world is to be independent. You've lost that that sort of image, Washington Post, and I don't think that you are going to be able to claim that image if you had that image in the first place. And that is what we are and will be. Is that so? Right? Is that so, Washington Post? That is what you're going to be. That is what you are not going to be, because I think now is the death of the mainstream media in the United States. With over 200,000 subscribers to the Washington Post canceling their subscriptions. Do you think that you are going to be, that you are this independent media? I don't think so. I don't think so. In fact, one of the subscribers at the Washington Post said, one of the Washington Post subscribers said that, you know, they are, I think, let me see if I can show you here what that subscriber says. I am unsubscribing after 70 years. This is what a subscriber to the Washington Post, who has now unsubscribed, wrote one commenter claiming to have lost hope and belief that the Post would publish the truth, right? So people are thinking, at least one of his subscribers, because it is no longer diffusing the propaganda, which he or she thinks is the truth, and gives her or him some form of hope, then they will no longer subscribe to the Washington Post. Now, you really wonder what is in the minds of people. What is in that brain to think that a single newspaper could be giving you the truth, right? An intellectual person understands that you have to read many sources of information to finally come up with some semblance of the truth, right? But she believes, or he believes, I don't know if this subscriber is a he or she, right? And our lingo today could be a they, right? In the lingo of the Democratic Party, it could be a they. As far as I'm concerned, there are two genders. We have he or she. However, the fact of the matter is that this subscriber is now going to lose hope because the Washington Post, to her or to him, was a symbol of truth, symbol of a truth-telling media outlet, which is, my God, how could he or she think like that? Now, the New York Post has it here. The Washington Post owner, Jeff Bezos, defends paper's decision to not back 2024 candidate claims presidential endorsements create a perception of bias. But we know that the newspapers in the United States are biased. Who does not know that? Who does not know that? I think people know that from the 1990s. People know that the United States does not report its news with any level of objectivity. It's always what is in the best interest of the United States elites. Okay, people are always aware of that. In fact, growing up, I understood that many people would want to go to the BBC or to the Guardian newspaper. No, these news outlets also have now, they're under the rubric, under this, propaganda uh, philosophy of the mainstream, the US mainstream outlets. They are. I don't think that we can say now the BBC and the Guardian newspapers and a lot of the British media are independent of US reporting. They are just not independent anymore. Now, Washington Post owner Jeff Bezos defended his publication's decision not to back a presidential candidate ahead of the November 5 election, insisting political endorsements create a perception of bias. Bezos broke his silence on the matter, in an op-ed that was published by the Washington Post on Monday night, arguing his newspaper ending its long-running practice of endorsing a candidate for the White House is a principled decision and it's the right one. So he said that it's a principled decision. Presidential endorsements do nothing. This is what Jeff Bezos is saying. Presidential endorsements do nothing to tip the scales of an election. I think it does. No undecided voters in Pennsylvania are going to say, I'm going with newspapers is endorsement, none, he wrote. But if the paper consistently diffuses propaganda, they're going to believe. And that is what they normally do. In the season of election, they diffuse, they disseminate propaganda, propagandistic information, and people believe. Unfortunately, people in the United States and around the world believe what these newspapers tell them, whether it's the right-wing newspapers or the left-wing newspapers. People believe. It forms their worldview, and they think, when you're reasoning with them, they can't think outside of the box. They are thinking that this is what I've heard from the Washington Post or the New York Times or the NBC or the CNNs. And they cannot think that that might not be so, or that might be half-truth, and that you need to get a broader perspective on the matter or on matters. They're not going to think like that. This is the society in which we live. And could we now be witnessing the death of mainstream media? People have been talking about it because now it's the world of the podcasters. And it's the same thing. You can't also believe in one podcast. You can't just watch one podcast and just constantly watching one podcast. You have to look at different podcasts. Those who are dispensing right-wing propaganda, those who are dispensing left-wing, and those who are neutral, so that you can become aware, you can get a sense of what is truth. What is the truth? Because that is what we need to talk about, the truth. What is the truth? Now, what are facts? Because facts can be generated by anyone. But having compiled the facts, we need to get a sense, to come to an understanding, to come to an awareness of what the truth is. That is what we need to do. And we are living in a world now where information emerges rapidly, and people can't keep up anymore with the constant flow of information. It's too rapid, right? Every little second, something new is happening in the world, and we are expected to keep up with it. It's impossible. Because people work, people have things to do, people have responsibilities, people have families to take care of. How do we keep abreast? Well, we have to keep abreast of the most important things. Things like electing a president. You have to be aware of this person. And sometimes if you just go and read some books too, some books that have been published that are fair, with a fair amount of information and, amount of facts. Read these books, get a firm foundation, a firm footing before you even listen to the media. And then you can contextualize, put everything together and say, this is so or this is not so. But many people, for heaven's sake, they depend on what the media say to them, on what their favorite podcasters say to them, and they believe. And they believe. And they run like bandwagonists, thinking that these are the facts. and I'm right, and I'm superior because I know the science, and the science shall set me free. But the Bible says, and ye shall know the truth. And who is the truth? Christ is the way and the life and the truth. He is the truth, not science, not political science, not chemistry, not biology, not physics, not engineering, right? Which we have believed, and people, for the most part, are embracing falsehoods instead of truth. I hope that you reflect clearly on what is happening in the media or the media landscape in America. I hope that you are beginning to read and to read widely and to also speak with people who are reading and who are trying to come up with a fair and objective understanding of the reality. I think we're living in a world now that is artificial, that is not real. And because of that, people are accepting, people are embracing a false world that is going to lead to destruction. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that you would like and you'll share and you'll subscribe. This is my new channel, Andrew Tucker TV. Please subscribe, and we will talk about many matters on this channel in terms of geopolitics, what's happening in the United States and around the world. Thank you so much for joining. See you then in another video. Ciao.